Is this a poltergeist in this house? So let's see what questions we have only on Paranormal, True or False. It is free to subscribe. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thank you. Is this bottle possessed? The bottle in the center of our screen will suddenly fall over before it flies off that shelf. Is this a possession? A haunting? A demon? Is it a prank? A hoax? A trick? Or is it somebody just pulling that bottle off that shelf with a string? Well, the easiest way to recreate this is with a string. Is this a shadow person? As we watch the doorway, we will see a black shadow cross from the left to the right. What is that? Is it a ghost? Is it a demon? It's definitely odd, but it almost looks like a person with dark hair, a lighter shirt, and maybe darker pants. But at times it's transparent, and I don't know if that's a camera glitch or what. I think there's something there, but I don't think it's computer graphics or visual effects. I'm thinking this might be a living human being that just walked from one side of the door to the other, combined with a camera that is lower quality. What do you think on this one? Leave a comment below. Is this a poltergeist? Beyond the doorway in the other room, we will see a table start to move and something on it start to fall off. Is it a ghost or paranormal? Is it a prank? Is it stage? Is it a hoax? Is there a person off camera who is manipulating that area? Is a string being used? We don't see the full envelope that just flopped out of that drawer. See how the envelope pops up all of a sudden, as if someone is just holding it up and then throwing it down? It might be more believable if with that initial movement of the envelope, we saw the entire envelope instead of only half the envelope. Again, this is one of those things where if there's too much activity, I begin to think that it might be staged. So those drawers opening, then the envelope flies out. Yeah, we don't even get to see the full drawer. So somebody's off camera right there. Is this planter possessed? The plant in the center of the room starts to twist around. What's causing that? Is the house haunted? Is the planter possessed? Is a ghost moving that? Is the camera glitching? Is a person using a string and turning it with a string? Is a person hiding on the other side of the coffee table, out of sight? Or is this paranormal? This is one of those where I can see it both ways. I could see how it could be paranormal, and I could see how it could be recreated. Who are we playing hide and seek with? This post does not seem like it's large enough to hide a human being, but somehow it kind of does. That was definitely a leg and a foot, but whose? But we're not done yet. Now we're on the other side of the post and we see legs again. I don't know why the camera's aimed so low. Because of that, I would say this is staged. Is this shadow person a child? As the flashlight pans around, suddenly it points into a room where it looks like there's a small shadow person. Is it a trick of the light? Is it a living person dressed in black? Is it a child? Is it a living person or a dead person? Well, it's not a bug on the camera lens or the flashlight, because that would not be stationary if it was. I think we're going to have to label it inconclusive because the footage is not that good. Is this a haunting? There's a banging on the door, so he flings the door open. His dog runs out, and then suddenly the gate opens seemingly by itself. As he turns this corner to call his dog back in, there's a moaning sound. Okay, flinging open the door, but then he doesn't look to his right or his left. He keeps the camera pointing at this gate that ends up opening on its own. What caused him to tunnel vision? He makes sure to stay there till he sees the gate completely open, then he goes and hunts for his dog. He calls the dog back to the house, and it's right here where there's a moan. There's no way for me to prove or disprove that moan, so we'll move on. Was the dog trained to go pick up a string or something and drag that string off over to the side, which opens up this gate? Yes, a pet could have been used to do exactly that. For me, neither the dog's behavior nor the human's behavior was normal, so I'm going to say this is staged. What is this creepy creep? So this is the same house as the previous clip. Now we have a door suddenly open and something peeping through the doorway. Two things actually happen. When the door opens, it actually is caught by a reflection in either a mirror or a window. So that's what that fuzzy white or lighter color is right around the time that you see the head. It's just light beaming in to that room that has a mirror or window. Now, as far as the head is concerned, that's actually a human being with a head. They are leaning sideways, so we're still getting their forehead all the way up to their eyes and the bridge of their nose, and then they just pull back. Again, this is just staged. What is this freaky figure? So this clip comes from a paranormal investigator who sees something at the end of the hallway. He saw it with his eyes, ran back, grabbed the camera to try and see it through the lens of the camera. We do see what looks like a head and shoulders of a human being. I'm not sure if it's just the camera angle and an optical illusion, or if there's actually someone there. Because sometimes I feel like that is something in the foreground, like the leg of that chair or whatever, and it just depends on how you angle that camera as to whether that's real human back in the back or something in the foreground that appears to disappear only because the camera angle changed. In the bottom right picture, the camera is closer to the wall than it is in the top right picture. That's why I wonder if this is an optical illusion of something in the foreground. Why is this object swinging? Near the ceiling of this hallway, we will see something swinging. What is that? Why is it swinging? So I've zoomed it in and slowed it down, but I still can't really tell what that is. This is obviously an abandoned building, so I just have to wonder, is there a cross breeze that is causing whatever that thing is to move? Is the glass broken in that area? I know if it was wind blowing towards or through this hallway, all of that stuff on the ceiling and on the walls would be swinging. So I'm wondering if there's some type of a cross breeze that's going across the hallway, but not close enough to any of this other stuff. I think we'll just have to chalk this one up to inconclusive. We don't see the object well enough to really know what's going on here. Who or what opened this door? Sometimes these are so predictable, in which right in the center of the frame, that door to a crawl space opens. It seems to have startled the camera operator, but then it closed again. She was smiling and now she seems to have settled down. So what exactly is going on here? Is she still expecting activity? Well, she got it, because now 2 doors have opened. The doors seem to be opening too fast and too hard to just be a vacuum. So is someone hiding on the other side of those doors and just kicked or pushed them open? Is this staged? Is it a hoax? Is it a prank? Was a string used? Was some type of remote engineering used? I can definitely see how this one could be rigged. Is this crawler paranormal? Suddenly, from the right side of the doorway, something comes crawling out. What was that? Well, it's not transparent, and I've slowed the footage down and zoomed in. They almost look naked, but I don't think they are. It is a very skinny person. I think I'm just going to chalk this one up to a prank, staged, whatever you want to call it, but it's not paranormal. Is this a poltergeist? Suddenly the rocking chair starts rocking, and then there's some stuff on that table that will fly off onto the floor. What's going on in this one? Has a ghost decided to just relax and sit in that rocking chair? Is a string being used? The stuff that falls off that cabinet. Did the ghost get out of the rocking chair and walk over and knock that stuff off that cabinet? Or is this being staged to look like a ghost got out of that chair and walked over and knocked over all of that stuff? This is one of those that is cool and creepy, and I wished it was real, but I'm not convinced it is. I think it's been staged. Is this stool possessed? Suddenly a stool slides across the room at a barber shop, and everybody starts leaving. Who or what moved that stool? I don't know why I find this one funny, but this is a bunch of grown men who are afraid of a little stool. I can't help but wonder if this was just staged so they would get a viral video. And having said that, it is very possible that is a ghost that's moving that, but it's also possible it's being pulled by a string. Is this ball possessed? Suddenly a ball starts bouncing around the room. Then the drape that's covering the doorway flies up. They run over and look around, but they don't see anybody, and they can also see the door is locked. Do I even want to know why this person has their phone recording when somebody's in bed? The answer is no. I will say, even though they walk through this space very quickly, and he swings the camera around very quickly, it does appear like he's covered the entire room. I can't tell if there's somebody under this cover here or not. At one point, one of the chairs in that room kind of looked like a person, but I think it was a chair. But it's just kind of odd to have your camera on while somebody's watching TV in bed. So I feel like this is staged. Is this room haunted? So on the right side of the screen we see the blinds flapping. Then on the left side we will see the door close. And then on the bottom right side we will see something push on the back of the cat, causing the cat to get up and move. I'm not sure what that white thing is that the cat is sitting on, but he is definitely getting pushed by that thing. So, is there a window somewhere else in the house that is open, that's causing the blind here to move, but once the door closes, that blind no longer flops around? So that does tell me that's most likely a vacuum. I can assure you, cats are that stubborn. And the mere fact that this cat is not afraid of what's pushing him off of that white thing, that tells me that there's somebody hiding off camera and just stuck their hand underneath that thing and is pushing that up to mess with the cat. And the other trigger to that is when he stops here and he turns around and he looks, he actually gives him a dirty go to hell look. I have seen that on my own cats enough time to know that's got to be the cat's owner. When they're doing their cat napping, they don't like to be disturbed. And if it was anything other than that, that cat would be launching itself around that room trying to get away from it. Because I have startled a stray cat and see them bounce off of walls in my shed. So this one is just creating paranormal activity. It's not really capturing paranormal activity. And I have a cross breeze in my house that causes my window blind to rattle like that too. True story, when I first moved into my house and I closed my bedroom door in between the office and the bedroom, my bedroom door would rattle. But it would rattle in such a way that I thought something was thumping on the roof. And I literally would go outside and look on the roof, when in actuality, my bedroom window and the office window were open. They're directly across from each other. And when the door is closed, it shakes the door. Is this a poltergeist during a witching hour? First, we will see the clock go from 2 o'clock to 3:15. Next, we will see the lid on the box next to the clock move. Then a bottle on the shelf falls, but it has a delay in its fall. And finally, it bypasses the shelf lip and falls into the sink. Then on the left side, we will see that door slightly move. Did a poltergeist do this? So we'll zoom in and look at each one of these different objects moving by just looking at it a little bit more carefully and closely. So we can see that this shelf has a lip to it which catches the bottle. So it takes a little bit more to get it to actually fall. And then the movement of this door is very subtle. So is this done by a poltergeist? Unfortunately, I can see how we could recreate each of these things. The clock is hiding a hole that's in that wall, and somebody is standing in the tub on the other side of that wall, just spinning the knob to create that movement in the clock. I have to say, that clock is a new one, and I really appreciate the effort on that. So we have a second person that is standing in a doorway under the camera, and they're using a string to pull that wicker basket lid. So that's simply a string and it's pulling towards that direction. Same is true for this bottle. It's got a string around it. They yank it initially and it only falls and hits the lip. So they have to yank it a second time because they didn't realize that it wasn't going to completely fall off the shelf. So in a second here, you'll see it being yanked much more forcefully, and that gets it completely off the shelf. And now the same person that was in the bathtub uses a string to just slightly move the door towards them. And that's how we get the door movement is from the second person. So this is definitely two people doing this. One handled the lid and the bottle, the other one handled the clock and the door. And the way that we know that this is staged is because no one puts a camera in their bathroom. That is just such an invasion of privacy that nobody would do it. Nobody tolerates it unless you're in the porn industry. If a hotel or an employer put a camera in a bathroom, the lawsuit would be in the millions. I do appreciate the effort and that it's different than a lot of things that we see, especially the clock. That was a new one, and I truly do appreciate it, but it's just all staged, unfortunately. Who or what is moving these objects? Suddenly, the chair in the middle of the frame will start moving backwards. Then, some fruit flies off the table. What is moving these objects? Who is moving these objects? Is this house haunted? Is a ghost moving these objects? Again, I can see how this could be recreated with string. Someone's hiding in that hallway there and just pulled the chair directly towards them using a string. Now the fruit is a little bit more complicated. I'm not exactly sure what fell with the banana, but it's clear that the banana has a string tied to the neck at the top, and when it spins like that, it's still spinning in the same direction as the chair. The other item might have accidentally been pulled off by the banana. I think the banana was acted like a hook and just hooked whatever that other object is. But the banana is such an odd shape that it does look like it's moving towards the camera at one point, but I think it's just the way that the string is pulling on it that it's causing that appearance. Is this another poltergeist? Suddenly we will see the black and gray clothing start to move towards the camera. Then we'll see the drapes or whatever that lace is that's hanging start to move, and then at the back we will start to see the heart pillow start to move. Is a poltergeist doing all this? Who or what is doing this? Is it a ghost? My rule of thumb really is if there's too much activity, it's most likely staged. What I don't know is that did they do a very elaborate stringing rigging system for just one person to do all of this by pulling things in different directions? Or did they use two or three people with string pulling these items in different directions? But in each case, the string is being pulled to a direction that's off camera. Had these objects moved in the direction of the wall and kept going directly to the wall, it may or may not have made a difference with me. But the fact that it's being pulled in a direction where a human being could be, yeah, I'm not convinced this is real. I do appreciate the effort of pulling the first piece of cloth towards the camera, pulling the drape off to the side of the camera, and then pulling the pillow. Really, it's going towards the other side of the camera, even though the shape of it caused it to move a little bit towards the wall. Did they capture a shadow person? As this camera operator points the camera down the hallway, we see somebody walk by, and then all of a sudden, one of the beds is pushed into the hallway. Is that a ghost that just walked by and then shoved that bed into the hallway? I think it's pretty clear that's an employee who just moved that bed, but it's out of range of the camera and the people that were looking down there. So all of a sudden, all they see is a bed move, but in actuality, an employee just moved that. Is a ghost playing peekaboo with a cat? In the center of our screen, we can see a cat looking into a doorway when all of a sudden a lighter shaped object peers out around the door frame. Then it puts its hands around the door frame. Now we know something's there because the cat's looking directly at it. But is it a ghost or a human being silly? It seems like it has very large hands and very large head, and then it starts going up towards the ceiling in a weird way, all broken up, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, this one is really weird. I feel like it's somebody in a costume or some type of CG effect, but it is bizarre just how that thing has such a large head and then such large hands, and then it looks like it almost breaks apart and disappears. But at the same time, it looks like it might have snuck back over to the other side of the door frame where we couldn't see it. But it's just a weird shape, weird head, weird hands. Then it jumps up to the ceiling. Yeah, it's just bizarre. And then it like starts to evaporate. Very bizarre. Don't know on this one. I think it's faked and staged, but it may be real. It's definitely creepy. Well, I hope you enjoyed these clips, regardless of whether they were real or fake. We definitely had a lot of items moving and a lot of peeking around doorways this time. Leave a comment below and let me know if you agreed with what my assessments were or disagreed. I hope you enjoyed the eeriness of Jim's music. Be safe out there if you're an investigator. And thanks for watching Paranormal, True or False.